I'm going. Are you going?
All right. I'm going.
All right. Do you want me to say hello?
Hi. Welcome to Romance Writers Therapy.
Was that what you meant by me taking the lead?
I don't actually know what I meant by that. I was just kind of like, Marty will talk, and then I'll just listen.
Well,
because that's how this works.
Well, like, yeah, it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, this might be exactly what she meant. But yeah, hey, listener, we're Romance Writers Therapy, and we don't take ourselves too seriously around here. I am Marty V, and that is...
And neither should you.
No, please don't. Please don't. If you do, we might not be the best people for you. Like, let's be real. That's Kate Pryor also. So, that's the two of us.
Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome. So, Kate, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm kind of like, I know when we ask, how are you doing? Like, the question kind of like doubles as a, what are you writing? What are you reading?
Yeah.
I told you I was going to reread the X-Hex.
Yeah.
And so I realized in the middle of this reread that I never actually finished it last time. I was like, huh, funny.
That's hilarious.
Didn't realize, like, I loved this book. Why don't I remember the ending? Oh, I never finished it. Now I'm like an hour left in the audiobook, and I'm not disliking it. Like, I want to finish it, but I just keep like not being in the mood to finish it.
That is, I mean, I get that. I have my library book that I mentioned before, A Novel Disguise, and I lost it. Can't find that sucker anywhere. So I'm to the point where I'm just going to go to the library and like say sorry and pay for it. Which
give me another one.
I know, right? Because and like
I lost this one,
and like I don't because I lost this one. I mean, I'm willing to pay for my mistakes.
I just love the idea of like constantly losing a book and being like, another.
Okay, what's really funny is I do have another book I need to pay for right now.
A menace to the public library system.
I really feel like I returned it, but I can't find it anywhere, and they can't either. So I have to assume they're right, because quite frankly, my life is chaos. So, so there's $7 there, and then this is an adult book, so it's like, crap, how much am I going to owe them for this one? And it's like, it's a book I want to finish, but it's not one I want to own. And I have to finish it because, like, I told Jude essentially what the synopsis says about the book, right? And so she has been asking me as I read, like, hey, what's going on? What's happening now?
That is so cute.
So cute. So cute. And it's adult content. Like, it's not steamy at all, but, like, people have been poisoned, right? And so, like, I'm like, another person died. And, like, she's like, okay, well, who's poisoning them? I'm like, okay, all right. I'm gonna be cool with this because
to be
I mean, really, like, stories are interesting, and that's it. Like, so even though, like, part of me is like, wow, this is pretty morbid to be discussing with my daughter, the other part of me is like, yeah, she's interested, and like, why wouldn't she be? Like, it's an interesting story. But yeah, so I have to finish the book so I can tell her about it, and I can't find it. Also, the book I was complaining about before that I was finishing out of spite. Yeah. I still haven't finished that. I can't bring myself to do it. I have like 4 hours left of the audiobook at 1.5 speed. Ooh. My God.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So that not 8 hours, but like maybe 6 hours of regular reading.
Probably. Ugh. I just can't get done with it. It's ridiculous. My friends love them. Anyway.
I know.
Dude. And, like, I see why I don't connect with it, but I can't bring myself to finish reading it. But I started The 2-Week Roommate by Roxy Noir. Ooh. And I am super enjoying that. That's so fantastic. I was reading that yesterday instead of, like, writing like I should have been. But I also got quite a few words down yesterday, and I don't know. I want to read. I enjoy reading. I don't want to not read because I'm always writing.
Yeah. That does feel like one of those things that falls to the wayside, and it's like your homework when you're an author. Like,
I'm kind of deciding.
It's like you gotta keep reading to like be up on the industry trends and like all that, but then it's also like the reading you do for your enjoyment, and then it's like just staying up, just updated current.
Well, and like that was one of the reasons why I think I stopped reading so much, is because it was so much like, this is something I do for my job as opposed to allowing it to be a hobby that I really love, right? And like just being like, you know what, I'm gonna read what I want to read when I want to read it. I'm not gonna keep on like seeking out like, you know, this book because it contains this trope and stuff like that. Like, if you are somebody who reads fast and you can do that while also having the book that you are enjoying reading, then awesome, great. But I'm not that person. And I don't think that means that, like, if I'm only reading for homework, that I will somehow do a better job writing a certain trope, right? Like, I don't think that me being like, I'm no longer going to do this homework means that I can't do a good job at my job. I do understand the market, and I do understand how to write a romance, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, obviously.
Yeah.
But like,
but you should probably also enjoy the genre you're writing. It's one of those
nebulous things,
right?
Absolutely.
Like,
I would hope so.
Like, if you are writing romance, but you don't like romance as a genre, you don't like to read it, like, then you might not be the best person to write it, right? Like,
yeah.
So, like, yeah, most of my books do end up sitting in the romance genre that I like to read. That's also my favorite genre to write. But, like, sometimes I don't, like, sit in romance. Sometimes I do have to say I almost always read something with a subcategory of romance. Like a subplot.
See, because I do like genres outside of
Me
romance. Too. And sometimes I'll, like, read them, but then, and I'll be like, oh, maybe I'm not just, like, a purely romance girly. And then, like, halfway through the book, I'm like, why aren't they kissing?
Yeah, I know. I've had that experience.
You know,
too.
and like I start getting really mad that there's like no romance plot, even though it would be completely inappropriate to have one.
Or
most of the time.
Or there's no romance plot. And I'm like, but why do these two characters have such great chemistry? Right? Like, why aren't they in love? Right. I don't believe
maybe we could cut the main storyline out and just focus on
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, yes, that's why
That's fan fiction.
Do what I do. This is how we keep ending up back here.
Yes. But yeah, so that's what I'm reading. And my losing a book woes. I'm like, is it up at the camper? I don't know, man.
Did you leave it behind at the lake?
No, because I didn't take it.
Bear has it now.
We don't have bears this low. You have to go a little bit further north.
You don't have bears in Michigan?
You have to go further north.
There are bears in New Jersey. Like, I don't know.
No, you have to go further north. Like, maybe that north, but central Michigan, that might be a possibility. But, like, where we go camping, no. You have bears in New Jersey?
Yeah, there's bears everywhere, man.
Bears up in here.
When we went camping in Georgia, actually, they were like, you have to be so careful about the fucking bears.
Well, I mean, but like that makes sense.
And I told you my story about seeing a bear in Georgia.
You saw a bear in Georgia?
Yeah.
I saw a bear in Florida once.
I'm not gonna go into it.
Okay, anyway.
I definitely told you this before.
You have? Yeah. Okay, well you'll have to tell me later.
Okay.
How's writing going?
Writing has taken a little bit of a pause.
Okay.
I think I have not been in, like, the clearest of headspaces in the last couple of days. I think, you know, my timely curse, the once a month I lose my brain. Just every ability to think.
When I become a werv.
When I become a werv, how appropriate. You know, I just, like, and then I, like, get mad at myself for, like, the whole time. Like, no, keep writing. Why can't you do this? And it's, like, while I'm physically tearing my book to shreds. And it's, like, just stop. You're making it so much worse.
So, okay, no, we don't need to go into, like, our cycle minutia. I was about to explain to you some thoughts I had. But we can wait. I'm sure listeners here for books and period talk.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So you're at a pause right now while you're...
I'm taking a little pause. Yeah. I'm kind of letting myself work more on... Because book one of my Werewolf Brothers series, that's going to have a better name and titles and all that soon. Book one is kind of at this stage that it gets a little bit difficult because I can't write the last 25% or so until like I'm really sure on what the emotional, crux is going to be. Like, where are we taking this? And then that means I have to kind of go back and read through the whole thing a number of times to like really straighten all the details out. So it's kind of my least favorite part of the process. If I've read the book too many times already, this is like where I lose confidence in a lot of chapters that like maybe started out really fun in my mind, but like have kind of lost that because I just keep going back and being like, oh, what could I put here? What could I put there? And
so it's almost like you get past the honeymoon stage before the book is even done. Like a lot of times people describe this in their like, such and such round of edits because they've gone through the whole book so many times and now they just want to get it out, right? But like you go through this previous to the book actually being finished.
Yeah, because I've done this with my Gargoyle book. I did this, I think, a bit with the Orc book. I'm kind of starting to really see this pattern emerge where once I get something mostly done, but like not all the way there, it's like, okay, now you just have to like really buckle down and like it can't just be fun throwing shit at the walls
anymore
and waiting for a
plot to emerge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
And so I'm kind of like, but I have book 2 that I could go do that for.
Yeah. Okay.
I could just keep throwing shit everywhere.
What if you wrote
just seeing what sticks to the wall?
You wrote 3/4 of all 3 books, and then you go back and rewrite the ending of the first one.
God, that sounds like
hell,
honestly.
It really does.
And it's just a bunch of buckling down.
That sounds like a fucking nightmare. So, my writing situation, I'm not going to make my deadline on the 30th, but I stand a chance to make my deadline on the 9th. Feeling pretty good about it. I don't know, I feel like the story's moving really well. I'm really excited to have a book written this quickly. Like, that's giving me a lot of dopamine. And, like, I'm not going to, when I say I'm going to meet my deadline on the 9th, I'm not going to write the sex scenes because they take me so long. But I will, like, write a brief description of like, insert the sex scene that satisfies these elements of the plot and these elements of like their emotional arc, and then move on to the next scene, sort of thing, right?
Right.
So it will be weird to send it off that way because it definitely feels uncompleted, but at the same rate, like, I think that's just what I have to do. Because like, there's no way I'm going to have the sex scenes done. But also it means that, like, when I send it off, I can just take my time and write the sex scenes until I get it back. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying having the book written so quickly. And I'm really happy with the direction of the story. I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm in a good spot.
I'm glad.
Listener, Kate and I are here. I'm not going to have a decent segue into our point here. So the point of this episode, let me give you our thesis sentence. Is to talk about how you build your writer business while also resisting hustle culture. I think we're all pretty burnt out with hustle culture and its influence on how it is influenced by capitalism and how easy it is to burn yourself out. And I think we're seeing a lot in the industry of communicating differently about, like, I know that, nearing 10 years ago now, the conversation was very much like, if you're not doing a book a month, you're not going to make it. Like, it was a system set up to burn out writers, I swear.
Yeah.
And so now we're seeing a lot more people discussing sustainability and discussing, having a more reasonable turnaround for yourself. But I think that what's really challenging is, like, being a new author and not having a bunch of books out, knowing that you need to market, knowing you need to keep on writing, knowing you keep on doing your day job, knowing you need to keep on, being a part of society in whatever capacity you are. And how do you balance, life with this desire to keep on building this business, right?
Okay.
Yeah. My go-to response to this is to ask you, like, so what do you do? But you told me to take the lead, so I'm like, okay, so what do I do? I will say that one of the things that I am doing is focusing strongly on building my backlist more so than any sort of marketing, right? So it's weird to think of my newsletter as marketing, but that is exactly what it is. And so I have that. I have this that I enjoy doing. And then every once in a while I'll throw something on Instagram. But those are like the things that I feel I can do while not depleting all of my mental and creative energy. But at the same rate, I don't feel like I am growing at a rate I want to grow either. And so it's balancing like the expectation of like, I would grow so much faster if I embraced TikTok. I would grow so much faster if I posted a lot on Instagram. And like all of that might be true, but it also might not be true. And I'm not saying like, don't do those things, but I'm just saying like, I really need to prioritize my ability to actually write.
Because you don't want to like burn yourself out and then not be able to continue.
Well,
like maybe the growth rate isn't what you expected, but
well, and like really like it's getting easier to think about like doing the marketing stuff, doing TikTok and stuff like that now that the kids are in school. And when I don't have this deadline hanging over my head, it'll be a lot easier to do that, right? Until then, I think I need to just accept like these are the efforts I can do, that's okay. Like there is no finish line here. Even if I was growing at like an insane rate, it's still, there's no end to it, right? It's not like I'm like, oh, well, there's all the readers I've ever wanted and I'm done now. You know what I mean? Like this is long term. This isn't a sprint. And so it's making sure that I'm able to do that in a long term. I'm also doing anthologies because there are more authors promoting those stories, and there is hopefully each author has a built-in audience that's willing to read more than just their story when they buy the anthology, and growing that way as well. And like I'm not expecting them to be like, again, like huge knockout hits anthologies. I'm just expecting maybe I get with each anthology 2 or 3 new readers. I'll take that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have huge expectations of them converting new readers to me. I would love it, but like, I'm not expecting that.
No, but it's still a
strategy.
Smaller scale than it is a strategy. It's not as big as like just putting out new full books every time by yourself. Mm-hmm. It is I think a very sustainable effort to continue to be included in anthologies to reach wider audiences that you can't really like, that you might not be able to just summon at your own, you know?
Yeah. Well, and also we're all promoting these anthologies, right?
Yeah.
And the first 2 are going to be in Kindle Unlimited. And so it's an opportunity also for KU readers to pick up those books before they go wide, because I don't anticipate me releasing them into KU when I am able to release them as individual books, right? So I don't know. I guess like it's hard to hear how other people are doing things. For me personally, it's hard to hear how other people are doing things and not instantly go like, I'm not doing those things. I'm clearly not trying, which is untrue, right? Like I am trying. I'm just trying within the capacity of like knowing my energy level, being respectful of that, right? Like I could do more, but it means I'm going to be away from my family more, which I don't want to be. And like maybe staying up late, but like I wake up early to write. And so like I gotta be so careful to just be like, nope, nose down. If you were to do anything other than what you are, you're going to get exhausted and you're not going to want to keep on sitting down and getting the work done.
I've got like 2 thoughts that kind of go along with what you're saying, and I'm hoping I can hold on to the second one. I feel it's slipping away as I'm talking.
Dude, that's such a mood.
Okay, no, got it back. Okay, so the first thought was, I definitely agree that it's so easy to look at what other people are doing and think, oh, I'm not doing enough. I should be doing the things that these people are doing, even though I know it's not going to, like, it's going to eat into my time. It's not necessarily going to revitalize me in some way, like the ways that some of the things that you really, because you, even though your newsletter is marketing, you have talked to me so many times about how you enjoy writing a newsletter and you enjoy having that correspondence. Do you feel like it's draining to maintain a newsletter?
No. And that's why it's like, I'm happy to do it 3 times a month.
Right. Because like, but like when you look at TikToks, and I also was on TikTok this morning, and I was looking at these videos that people, because I follow other indie authors and self-pub authors and people who are doing the same things that like I'm trying to do, and they've made all these beautiful videos, and I'm looking at them like, oh my god, I should be making videos for my new release, and I should be marketing the hell out of it, but I'm also like so mentally burned out on this project and like I'm just so glad to see it out of my
out of your to-do list.
Get out of here.
Absolutely.
Get out of my house.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. And it just, so the thought is draining, so it's like, where was I going with this?
You were saying, you mentioned...
Did it sound like I had a conclusion to the sentence in mind?
Well, the conclusion I was drawing was you asked me if I felt that doing my newsletter was like an energy drain, and I said no. And then you brought up TikTok, and it's such a good point, because I do find that when I'm keeping up on TikTok, I have drained all of my energy, right? Like doing TikTok frequently throughout the week takes so much energy out of me. And so if that wasn't your point, that was the point I drew out of it.
No, I think that's what I was going for. Like, there's some things that are just going to drain you, and when you look at them and you think, I should be doing that, you kind of have to remind yourself that there's so many different ways to market and to reach an audience. And just because we're focused kind of as a society on TikTok currently doesn't mean it's the only thing that works, that it is the best thing for you, especially if it's going to drain you. You want to really focus on the methods that are the most rewarding for you personally and still build an audience.
One of my goals is like if something can be automated, automate it. My dishwasher washes my dishes for me. My Roomba vacuums my floor for me. Like I know all I want to do is talk about that damn Roomba. She's my favorite child.
I also have a Roomba story. That's why I laughed. I was like, I gotta tell you.
Your Roomba, your poor confused Roomba.
Right, because listen, I don't know if we've told the listener about this.
We've only talked about my Roomba. 1 week, okay.
We've only talked about your Roomba. You bought a Roomba, like a brand new, perfectly in perfect condition Roomba.
It was next to the cheapest
you
option.
Raved about it to me. Okay, but it
is amazing.
In the box, there was a box. And raved about it so much, and it kind of made me go, And then I went to a tag sale, and I saw a Roomba, and I was like, can I have this? And he was like, $25.
Amazing.
And I was like, hell yeah.
Take that Roomba home. You take that Roomba home.
I did. And then we discovered why it was only worth $25.
Look. Okay, but think about if it vacuums 5 times, that's $5 a vacuum.
Okay.
That's still better than most people get out of their Roombas, right? Like, you can pay a lot of money for a robotic vacuum. Right? Like,
the thing is, it doesn't know how to go back to its dock.
That is the funniest part.
In the moment it like touches the dock after it's finished vacuuming, it'll like start back up. And then it'll like wander around, and then it'll start crying out with this little blue blue blue.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Your poor confused Roomba.
And be like, after a while, it's just like, put me back at the dock. And it's like, okay, I will pick you up. I will waddle you back to the dock. I will put you on the charger.
What a life it must have had.
Even though it refuses to line up. And then it like, immediately starts up again and like leaves the dock. And you're like, no. And so the only way I could, like, even if it doesn't like start like immediately just take off from the dock and like try to, like, when it's at its absolute lowest battery, and it's like, I can't go anywhere physically, and you can kind of leave it on the dock. I have found that you have to very lightly press down on the opposite side of it to make the little, I guess the chargers connect.
That's hilarious.
And so I've kept a stack of books on the Roomba now.
That's so funny.
And then Austin came home and looked at it. He goes, "Is our Roomba learned now?" It's like, yeah.
Good job, Austin.
I don't know that he believes me that you have to do this to make a charge.
He just thinks this is like a new thing for you. You've taken to tutoring the Roomba.
If I could get my Roomba to write my monthly newsletter,
so true. Let's automate it. Let's teach our Roombas how to write our newsletter.
I mean, I don't trust AI, but I would trust the Roomba.
Oh, for sure. 100%. It has your best interest in mind.
The Roomba has a little humanity in there.
It does cry out for help.
Yeah, which I've yet to see ChatGPT do.
I mean, you'd have to tell it to. Not trustworthy.
The Roomba would write the newsletter via Ouija board.
Oh my gosh.
Like giant rug-sized Ouija board.
Okay.
Though, keeping that in mind.
But Kate, what if you wrote like a romantic sci-fi where like a guy's like spirit is in this girl's Roomba and he starts writing her messages from a Ouija board that was left on the floor?
Yeah, okay.
And now it's an instruction on how to like release him from the Roomba. God. Please write this for Halloween.
Oh, I don't know if I could do it in time.
Not this Halloween, next Halloween. Next Halloween.
Next Halloween. Oh,
think about him spelling out dirty words.
I feel like this is kind of encroaching on Vera Valentine's territory with the unhinged kind of.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Aspects.
No, because it's not, though, because you're going to release him from the Roomba.
Yeah, but, like, the guy in her book, like, the door in her book becomes a guy at some point.
It? I thought it was always a door.
I believe so.
I'm sure you're right. But either way, there's a whole genre for it, obviously. There's a market to be met. I think it's hilarious. But okay, so Kate, back from the Roomba story.
Back to the thing we were talking about. The second thought.
Yeah, your second thought. Please tell me more. Oh, I was talking about automating my life. That's how the Roomba came up. Do you want to give your second thought?
Yeah, I'm like reevaluating how relevant it is now because I can't remember if it's relevant or not.
Okay, I will expound upon my whole thing about automating, right?
Okay.
So, I have also been considering doing ads because then they're like essentially automated. Like you're paying for the automation, but you are automating it, right? But like I'm really what?
No, keep going.
But like I'm really like thinking like I'd rather wait until like I have a series to promote. Like I know that like there are people who have success on just one book and ads, but like I just if I'm not in any huge gigantic hurry to, you know, support myself financially this way, then I have a little bit more time to make that backlist, to do the full series, and then do an ad that way. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of the things that, like, looking back on, like, my urgency to publish, it felt so much like I was missing out and, like, you know, stuff like that. And now, like, I just feel a little less urgency to do all of the things. I say as I'm like, I should be doing everything. Like,
right, but like that's a feeling you kind of know what to do with now. Like
that's
you can,
true.
And so you've kind of made the thing I was gonna talk about relevant.
Oh yay! Congratulations, me.
So if you follow the R self-publish,
I do not.
What's it called? Forum on Reddit.
Okay.
Subreddit, I think they're called. I don't Reddit enough to like know the lingo. I follow like The Sims and Minecraft.
That's hilarious.
And like literally if you have like a problem with The Sims, which is every single time you play The Sims, like you just go there and there's someone else who's also having the same issue and 10 other people who know how to fix it. Which is the best thing.
That is amazing.
Right?
The internet is amazing. It is also dark, 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 but it's also amazing. But okay, so you're talking about our self-publish.
Okay, so this person went on there and said, my partner is a self-published author, has a series out, and they just took $3,000 out of their Roth IRA and gave it to me to help them with marketing. And I read that and like,
Wow.
And then I went to the comments and I was so relieved to like see the majority of the top comments saying things like, put it right back there. Do not just spend money to market.
Yeah.
And then they had all these other things they were talking about. These are the ways you can help someone market. These are the habits you can build and the other ways that you can start to gain an audience.
I love that. Part of the whole thing with like ads and like publishing is like, don't spend money you aren't comfortable losing, like particularly with ads.
Absolutely.
Right?
It can be such a gamble, and you don't know that you're going to make it back. You don't know that you're actually you don't know that your ads are catching people's eyes the way that like the way I see it is that an ad is like it is going to take the same amount of effort from you as it is to make a social media graphic, because it has to look that good
for sure.
To begin with. If not better.
I would think it has to look better.
Right. And so then the question becomes, are you going to do it yourself? Are you going to pay someone to do it? Is it going to like actually capture someone's attention, or are they just going to scroll past it because of like, I don't know if this is like an actual term for it, but like ad blindness.
No, that's fair.
You know, like we just have capitalism just so ingrained in our everyday lives, and the advertisements are everywhere and we're so sick of seeing them, but you can like clock one on site, so you just scroll past it. Yeah, that's it.
I think that's fair.
Like I'm not trying to dunk on ads.
No.
I do think you can do something with them.
And
people do click on them.
I'm also not trying to dunk on TikTok and Instagram. Like we know people that have built a great career using TikTok, right? I just also
absolutely
don't think it just like ads, I don't think it should be touted out as the only option for building a demographic, like building a readership, right?
Right. It is, I think, the thing that people go to immediately because they look at
like TikTok is free.
Their social medias.
Yeah.
And then they say, I don't have followers, so this isn't going to reach anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was the end of the thought I had there. I was expecting it to keep building.
There's a Michael Scott reference right there from The Office, but I don't think you've ever really watched The Office, have you?
I've seen The Office like 3 times.
Oh, have you? We've like never talked about this.
Yeah, actually.
Okay, well, Michael Scott being like, sometimes I just start talking and hope that something happens. But
that is the mood.
I know it is the mood. Yeah, I relate to it. I'm sorry, I had a thought. We're all going to TikTok. And I feel like the conversation's shifting even more now away from TikTok, where people are like, well, you know, I was doing TikTok, but then I realized I really just enjoy Instagram. Right. And I think it's, you know, having the flexibility of I can do a reel or I can do a graphic, and like the community building is so different. And like essentially that's what social media is meant to be for. And I think that that's one of the things that I struggle with my like newsletter even is like, how do I put a piece of content in here or a question in here that people are going to respond to? Like, how do I get a reply from someone, right? And I've been really surprised by some of the things that people reply about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, I mean, it's just like everything else in my life where like my interest goes up, my interaction goes up, and then I lose interest and I can't interact on it anymore, right? I'm talking about like TikTok and Instagram. Like I'll get to a point where like I'm like commenting on people's posts and like stuff like that and like interactions happening. And then I get to I just can't anymore. Like I don't have the energy. I don't have the focus. I just need to move on, you know?
Yeah, no. And I think Instagram used to reward that kind of usage where like people who hadn't posted for a while, their posts, like a new post from them would get like an extra notification to people who followed them. I don't know. I think I've heard people talking about the ways that the Instagram algorithm's been changing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we've gotten away from our topic? Like how to not give into hustle culture?
Maybe a little. Maybe we could wander back over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you balance not giving into hustle culture and, you know, still maintaining your business and keep it on a growth path, which feel like such conflicting.
It does. And like that's why the balance is so hard to strike because like our language around it, like I'm growing my business, really like feeds into the idea of hustle culture, right? And like so for me personally, it's like knowing my focus, right? Like so when I start being like I should be doing, I could be like, but you are writing your backlist. Like, that's what you're doing right now. Like, you're doing that. Your brain is clear. You're able to focus. And if I added more marketing than I'm already doing on top of that, I can't guarantee that my brain would be clear and I'd be able to focus. And quite frankly, I think I wouldn't. Right? So, yeah, I'm not posting a bunch and I'm not paying for ads right now. And I'm not, like doing all sorts of things that I could be doing, but I'm also not miserable and exhausted and frustrated, Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's all I have to say.
That's a balance we're striking. Yeah.
I think beyond that, like what I know of you and what you've talked to me about, I think I have another thing that you can list for yours.
Oh, okay. I would like to hear what you're doing.
Oh,
you can finish your thought and then.
Yeah, okay. You talk to me about the craft books you're reading and the not just craft but like more business oriented side of being an author books that you're reading. Like you read those books and I look at those books and I my soul kind of shrivels up a little like, ugh, I know I should read it, but God, that just looks like reading a car like automotive manual to me. I look at it like it's not.
That is so interesting. I wouldn't have made that connection. To me, it is like strategy, which I always find fun.
Okay.
Right? And then also, it's my favorite way to learn how to do anything is to like sit next to somebody while they're doing it.
Okay.
Right? So like essentially like I'm doing it, watching them do it. Right? It's like copying someone else's paper. Right?
Right.
And so that's why I really like those kinds of books because it's like getting a mentor.
Yeah, and I love hearing you tell me about the books you've read.
Okay. But that's also like why I listen to so many podcasts. The
cherry-picked advice of like, this is the best thing I've gotten out of the book. Like, yes, Cliff Notes.
I'm happy to do that for you anytime. Like,
oh, literally every day, all day.
Okay. I'll tell you some things I came up with today. Dude, I have like a piece of lint stuck in my nail.
Ah.
It's nail talk time.
It's nail talk time. Very abruptly transitioning.
I'm sorry, listener. Did you get whiplash?
I did.
I did. Okay. But you were saying that those look like the driest thing to read and you're just not able to do it.
Well, the thing is, like, I imagine if I found the audiobook version of those books, it would be like listening to a podcast or sitting in on a lecture. And those are things I really enjoy. I love that kind of an audiobook. There's literally a series called The Great Courses.
Oh, yeah. I love The Great Courses.
Yeah, right? They're so good.
Oh, my gosh.
And there was like, I listened to a bunch of ones about like the Black Plague and medieval life.
Hilarious.
At the beginning of the pandemic because it was just so
Jesus.
Relaxing.
Oh, man. That's an interesting choice, like, Kate.
No, I know. I was like, I keep wanting to tell people all these cool facts about the Black Plague now, and
I don't think anyone's ready.
And no one's ready to talk about it, but I'm like, no, don't you see? This makes it feel like the way that it
not all of us are going to die.
5 years or so, the way that it came in like waves for 30 years and people just like that kind of thing.
That's interesting. Okay. So it's not like it was like soothing in the context of like the sickness, but in the context of how society adapted around it.
Yeah, like how people reacted to it, the
Uh-huh.
ways that different cities, you know, the ways that their particular policies at the time, the way that their different cultures within like
Mm-hmm.
specific cities, and I think it was Italy, because it was talking about like the way that Milan resisted the Black Plague for quite a while.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was literally they just didn't let anyone in. And
Oh, that's
like
so
like
interesting. Okay. Okay.
okay,
Yep.
we're
That's
so
really
off topic.
interesting. Yeah,
but like
we are.
like this was just like my little special interest at the time.
Which a lot of these books are available in audio.
Yes, no, they are. There a lot of these are on Audible and probably other audiobook retailers like
Mm-hmm.
audiobooks.com. That is a real place.
I'm sure it is. I just really liked you being like, and we are not going to only endorse that.
Yeah. It's just something about the way that they're marketed,
Mm-hmm.
that the way these books are marketed that kind of don't excite me and kind of make me go like, is it not going to be fun?
Mm-hmm.
But like I absolutely know it's going to be a fun thing. I just have to like
that's
take
fair.
the dot. What is it called? Jump in the deep end?
Dive into the deep end? Take
Something
the dive?
like that. Did I tell you
Yeah.
I said to my mom the other day something about getting all my ducks in a basket?
That's hilarious.
And she looked at me and she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, it's like, don't count your eggs before they hatch, but it's also get your ducks in a row, but it's also something about a basket, all your eggs in one basket.
Something about a basket. Okay, but what are you doing to resist hustle culture and build your business?
I feel like I do that thing where I've done that thing for a lot of my life where I just keep monetizing my hobbies. You know, because like when I used to do like wire wrapped jewelry,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to sell that on Etsy a while ago. And then, you know, I've done art commissions to like being a freelance illustrator. So it does feel like most of my hobbies, I've looked for a way to make them into my livelihood.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I'm
I've done the same
trying
thing.
to scale back a little and like find hobbies that don't end in a
Small
income
business.
thing. Yeah. Don't accidentally end up with another small business.
Yeah, exactly.
Business taxes are the worst.
I just pay
Like,
someone
just-
to do
just
my
saying.
taxes. Yeah, that's what we started doing a couple years ago, and it's been a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god,
This
amazing.
is the first year I have not done my taxes with my dad.
Uh-huh.
By which I mean my dad has not done my
Yeah,
taxes
no,
with
I
me,
get
kind of
that.
sitting there
When-
staring at him like.
When I say we started using some guy a couple years ago, like an accountant a couple years ago, really, I never touched my taxes. Andrew and Andrew's dad have done my taxes, and yeah, I've never done them. My aunt did them for me before
Ideal state of
Andrew
being.
and my father-in-law did. So I've never done them, but I've always had people around me willing to do them.
That's
So, yeah.
really. I just love the phrasing of that. Willing to
What
do
did I
my
say?
taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willing.
Not coerced into it.
No, but they are. They are willing.
Okay.
Like, Andrew has been willing because he would prefer to do them than pay someone in the past, right? Now he's like, wow,
Okay.
that is money well spent. My father-in-law was willing because, like, he was doing his anyway. Why not do Andrew's and mine? And we were busy, so he just did them. And then my
Aw.
aunt was willing to do them because she enjoyed doing them. Because she really likes to, like, have this little, like, math equation that she was, like, doing for us. They were willing. They were not coerced. But, so, Kate, do you have thoughts? We've
Do I
had
have
so
thoughts?
many meanderings in this conversation. I don't know if we really delved into it well.
I think, like, I say this every episode, but, like, preserving the joy that I take in my writing is, like, my number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm not having a fun time with the writing itself, then that kind of makes
Defeats the whole
everything
purpose
else
of it.
not worth it. Yeah. And I realized that is actually a very privileged thing to say because, you know, not everyone can take that moseying kind of path about it. Does that make sense?
You mean like some people have monetized it to the point where like they need to continue bringing in income?
Yeah, like you need to finish this series even though the joy of it has gone out of it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. You really want to continue writing a series, but maybe it's not selling as well as some of your other things, so you're going to go write more things like those other things and abandon a project that maybe meant a lot to you. I don't know, like, I'm routinely reminded that publishing for a long time has largely been a business only available to the rich, or and statistically, even in the last century, it has been a largely middle and upper class endeavor. I think we have talked a little about how self-publishing has kind of democratized the writing spaces and reading spaces a little bit, but not quite the way that some people talk about it. Yeah. No, that sounds like I'm throwing shade. No, but like,
but then in true capitalist form, it then required more financially to maintain than most people can step into, right?
Yes,
so like
exactly.
Exactly. So like we had a democratized opportunity, anyone could post, but now we have so many people with their.
Well, when we build the boundaries of it has to look professionally edited, and it has to look professionally formatted, and it has to have a lovely cover, and it has to have all those.
And you have to be able to market, and you have to be able to,
you know,
like, And so it has really taken that everybody's welcome, everyone has an opportunity at the table, and it's
really
closed the doors. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think though, and it does kind of suck that this is the reality. Writing, I don't think, and publishing is not a quick money game. You know, I don't know what is out there that you can very quickly make the money you need to survive off of in a side hustle kind of way, short of like fucking pyramid schemes, which don't do that.
But like
don't
not
do
even
that.
Though.
Yeah, not even that. Unless you like fucking are one of the very few people who starts out at the top of the scheme, which is a very small percentage of people. Sorry, we've stumbled onto another tangent that I could talk forever about. It's pyramid schemes.
Kate, where I instantly thought of, you were like, I don't know where we could make money, quickly. I was like, OnlyFans was like what happened in my brain.
I want to know what like the marketing scheme in OnlyFans is like. Do they have the same kind of struggles of I think they do now. Thumbnail images aren't cute enough.
Well, I think they do now.
They do now.
But like I think at the beginning of OnlyFans, if you stepped in at that time, like you are doing fine, right? Like it's the same as like the algorithm for TikTok, a couple of years ago was really moving a lot, right?
Yeah.
And now I bet it's incredibly saturated and it's not as easy to build traction. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just have to assume. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people made a lot of money. So where were you going with that thought?
Which thought?
Is that like you don't make fast money with writing?
You don't make fast money with writing, and
my argument becomes like if you aren't expecting to make fast money with writing, like keep in mind there are a lot easier ways to make money, right? Like
God, I hope so.
I mean, my day job pays a lot better than writing does. You know what I mean? Like my day job takes a lot less time, quite frankly, a lot less investment too. And it's definitely more financially rewarding, but it doesn't bring me nearly the same amount of joy as writing and producing my work. And so, again, that would be another thing that I keep in mind is like essentially my why. Like, why do I keep on doing this?
Not to keep this conversation going with adding another tangent, but I do have one more.
Okay, one more.
And it's kind of like a counterpoint to the thesis of like what we've been talking about.
Good. I love when at the end we completely
retcon everything we've said.
Exactly. Like, hey, we just built our house of cards. Now watch me bring in a steep wind. Like,
yes.
Okay. Blow it over, Kate. What do we got?
So there's a phenomenon where that happens, I think, in almost every industry, but like you see it and hear about it the most in, I want to say, artistic and humanitarian spaces, because it really leans on the people doing the work to put themselves into it without, like, for the love of it, for not exposure, but because, like, you're not being paid in exposure, you're being paid in, you should be grateful you should that you're getting to do this, you should just be doing it for the love of art. Like, people use this all the time in, like, the art spaces where, like, you know, you should just draw this for me and give it to me because you love art, not because you're, you know, greedy and want money.
To
you know,
be paid makes you a sellout.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, people push that argument, but everyone deserves to be able to pay their rent and buy groceries and, you know, small joys in life that those are.
Yeah. But I feel like that only supports our whole, like...
the way that, like, we have been talking about, like, you can't use writing and publishing as a way to earn fast money, and a lot of the skin in the game that you have is about the joy you take from it. You know, that is the reward that you're getting. I don't want us to be pushing that angle, and I don't know. These things intersect in so many nuanced ways, and it comes down to, you know, your individual situation on, like, what works for you, what helps you, you know, get through every month. And
so what you're saying is, like, if you're looking to be paid for this, you should not feel demonized for that ambition, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't feel demonized for wanting to.
Please. Yeah. Like, I want to be paid for this. Yes. I know
Absolutely.
my why. I know my goal, but I know my why. I know my focus, but I also know my goal. And my goal is to support my household this way. Right? Like, I don't expect it to happen tomorrow, but, like, I do see so much opportunity in having a writing business and having the opportunity to write to support myself. That is such a good point at the end there, Kate. Good job.
Thank you.
Do you have a piece of writing advice?
I do, and I've had this prepared since Sunday when I edited our last podcast.
Holy cannoli.
Right?
You cut that right up in your brain grapes.
Yes,
okay.
I did.
Let's hear it.
You want to hear what it is?
I want to hear it.
Don't do whatever Marty says to do.
Is that your advice?
That's my advice.
Okay, what did I say to do?
Last time, for the last, like, 2 or 3 episodes, every time I say my writing advice, you say the opposite of what I said, or you say don't do what Kate did. So now I'm turning it back on you.
Well, listener, my piece of writing advice is to listen to exactly what I said to do. So you have to now decide, like a child of divorce, who you want to live with. Also, side note, if you had to exist through that, I'm really sorry.
No, I think that's a great place to end it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're good.
All right, don't forget to tell people where you are.
Oh, yeah. Me? Like, in my basement?
In Michigan? No.
Oh.
Like, where they can find you.
You can find me at
Find Marty in her basement.
Yes. Listener, what are you doing here? Okay. You can find me at martyv.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. I am on TikTok and Instagram, and as I've been discussing this entire episode, that's hit or miss, at martyvauthor. And I have, this will be out by the time it's out, I have a new anthology that I am in. Hazel and Elijah's book is in it. It's called Fall Into Love. It's by Fluffy Fox Publishing, which I have to say so particularly, or else I just like I just mess it up real bad. And that's where you can find
Fluffy Fox Publishing. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right?
That
It's
is
not as bad as me saying S's, but like it's pretty good. Okay, so Caters, where are you at?
You can find me at kate-pryor.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there. You get all my blog updates. All my links are there, essentially. The place you can probably best reach me is Instagram, though, at by Kate Pryor. And I'm going to try to remember to publish this episode next instead of the ones that we have kind of sitting there in the queue.
Because we both have timely things happening?
Because we both have timely things happening.
Woo,
my book will have been out for 2 days by now. My newest release, The Gargoyle from General Management. It features a shape-shifting siren with imposter syndrome, a stern, very corporate Wall Street type gargoyle, and a work trip that neither of them can get out of.
I should always make you go first because then I'm like, gosh, I could do a better job. Like, maybe I write down some thoughts before I start talking. Anyway, my anthology comes out on the 10th of October. So it won't be out just yet, but it'll be out soon. And Hazel and Elijah are awesome. I'm just not good at talking about them.
They are so cute. I remember being absolutely
cute.
Enamored with one of the chapters that you read us where like they were just flirting at a bar together. And I was like, this is the cutest thing I've ever read.
Oh. Yeah, they make me so happy. Anyway, listener, I hope you are having a great day. I hope you are also finding a balance between capitalism and what you want to do with your life. And, yeah. We love you.
Bye, listener. Bye.
Bye.